That, that. Shermin. Shermin.
Hi, Techi. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Bakit
Si Rose to.
Oo. Hello there, long time no see.
Oo nga eh.
Kailan uli natin makikita ang ating mga beauties?
Oo nga. Next year siguro.
Yeah, hopefully.
Sana. Yeah.
Sana. Oo. Teka muna, bakit kayo nawawala? Shermin, ba't nawala kayong lahat? Why? Everybody's getting off.
Kasi naman natin pero alam natin kung ano ito. Ginagawa siya ng ganyan.
Okay. Do I start? Good morning, everyone, and welcome once again to our industry update to allow us to first, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Techi Bautista. I'm the Vice President for Academic Affairs of CREBA. The purpose of this industry update is to allow us to provide us with a forum to understand the efforts of various government agencies towards responding to the challenges of the new normal. During the pandemic, we have noted that government agencies have really exerted so much effort in coming up with programs aimed at providing relief to the industries towards the impact of the pandemic on our lives and our health, our business, and the economy. So this morning, we shall tackle two very important programs under the National Shelter Program, namely the National Housing Authority and the National Home Mortgage Finance Corporation. These are very important agencies of government. NHA handles the production of houses and land banking, while National Home Mortgage Finance Corporation provides the what they call this the investment or what they call this receivables financing to provide funding relief to developers and the buyers. So these are very important programs that we shall be tackling this morning. And we will start with the program with a short prayer. Dear Lord, we lift and offer our day to you, as well as CREBA and its programs in the Industry Update series. Give us the wisdom and the courage to face life's opportunities and challenges, knowing that you will always be with us to guide and protect us. Amen. Good morning once again, and we shall start. I'd like to acknowledge some of the officers and guests that are with us today. We have our Corporate Secretary, Flor Ofrecio. I also noticed our Corporate Treasurer, Ms. Connie Beltran, is with us. Andy Manyala, and also our Vice President for Chapter Affairs, Joyu Mol. Pasensya na, hindi ko pa nakikita yung iba, so I'll acknowledge them later. And of course, we are supposed to start off by an open remark by our National President, Toti Carino, but we just received a call that he's still stuck in traffic. So he'll just greet us later during the process of the program. So we shall proceed. First, I'd like to start off with the first speaker. Is it Rose or is it Marisa? We shall start with National Home Mortgage Finance. Our speaker is Marisa Manikis, who is in charge of the Management Services Group of NHA. So let us all welcome Ms. Marisa Manikis.
Yeah. Good morning. Good morning to everybody. I'm actually from the National Housing Authority.
Oh yes, I'm sorry. Yes, of course.
Thank you. May I just have our presentation? Wait first.
Exactly. Pag pinayagan ni Mylene.
Okay. So again, thank you for inviting the NHA on behalf of our General Manager, Marcelino Escalada Jr., who is really on project visits at this time in our project areas in Mindanao. We say thank you. So we will be next, please. So in response to your requested updates and information, we shall be looking through our major housing programs and our agency's response to COVID-19. There was particular mention about ITEC, so we'll also discuss that, and also requested information regarding Disciplina Village in Valenzuela, and some information about our PPP project. No? Okay, next. Okay, the NHA's housing programs are actually the same with addition of some it has actually been expanded pa. So we have our resettlement program, which I would assume that you know naman, for the families here at the National Capital Region that are living along danger areas and those that are affected by government infra projects. So we have projects also together with the DPWH and the OTR in providing housing for those that are affected by the infra projects, such as for DPWH, R10, Harbor Link project, widening of roads, the NLEX and SLEX connector road, and for the OTR, the North-South Commuter Railway project. So we are in constant coordination in our agreements to provide housing for those affected by those projects. And we have our regional resettlement. Primarily, we have here yung aming resettlement assistance to local government units, yung RAPLUG, no? We call this RAPLUG, and this is really a very important program for us, as this connects us with the local government units. And this is the provision of funding of 50 million or 25 million, as the case may be, depending on the level of the municipalities, no, and cities, and pagka 50M for a project that is half recoverable, but for the 25M that is non-recoverable. We also have our, similar to this, our programs for indigenous peoples, and this is a sum of 20 million for each project. This is also in we have this always with the NCIP, no, of the localities, of the areas who would really are in touch also with the indigenous peoples in particular. We also have now our program to assist former rebels and also those that are killed in action, killed in police operations. So this refers to AFP and the PNP, and also those who are wounded in action for both the AFP and the PNP. Next, please. Settlements upgrading. So this is really one of our longest or oldest projects wherein there is intention to address security of tenure by informal settlers, no, on site, and would cover survey and titling of individual lots for disposition to qualified occupants. And as shown in the pictures, mayroon before and after. Mostly these are what we have under presidential proclamations. No, through the years, under several presidents and administrations, wherein there are issuances of presidential proclamations in proclaiming some sites all throughout the country as for housing. However, this also has set some issues because given by its name, presidential proclamation po, we go through some post-review, no? So kasi we find out na hindi pa siya ready. So although there have been a lot of already accomplishments here, madami din po na presidential proclamations are still under study or ongoing as to the accomplishments of their objectives for housing. Next, please. Here's the government employees housing program. These are primarily, as of now, yun pong sa armed forces and sa Philippine National Police and their related na mga agencies, but this covers government employees as with the joint resolution number 2, and we think this is really very good, even as it was one of the offshoots of yung problema namin with invasion of some of our housing units by some groups, no? But now we are now into also yung mga projects namin for AFP na NPNP projects. We are in coordination with Pag-ibig Fund for the takeout. No? So ito po ongoing na inaayos. Next slide, please. And we have, this one is really an important one, and really in recent years, it has really become a major project for us, yung calamity housing, pagka dun sa calamity victims namin. And we have what we call permanent housing and also yung EHAP or Emergency Housing Assistance Program. And this is intended, the permanent housing, to for the housing needs of the low and marginal income or ISFs that are affected by typhoons, no, landslides, earthquakes, and fires for relocation of safe areas. So nagtutuloy din po ito, and we can really say na meron po, yun pong Yolanda na sa ngayon ay inaayos pa natin. Meron po yung mga Typhoon Pablo, Sendong, Zamboanga Siege, yung may mga earthquake po, no, lalo na sa Mindanao. and then yung recent na eruption ng Taal volcano. So nandito din po yung tuloy yung aming assistance here, and also some portions of the Marawi effort. And we have our emergency housing assistance wherein quick response nagpo-provide ng cash assistance. Next slide, please. And we have, this is, we say that reverse migration, the idea of reverse migration from the urban areas has already been idea before. But the present pandemic has also triggered projects in how to decongest urban areas, and initially, in particular, the National Capital Region. So there is the Balik Probinsya Bagong Pag-asa program that was under the issuance of Executive Order 114, wherein there was a creation of BP2, we call it BP2 Council, and really the long-term goal is to ensure balanced regional development and equitable distribution of wealth and resources. So there have been previous programs that are similarly named Balik Probinsya, but the problem then, I think, DSWD had one and NHA also had one, but the primary problem was it was an option. Among the options, if you don't wish to have a beneficiary or a family would wish not to, would opt to not have a resettlement housing unit, then would prefer to just have the transportation allowance to go back to the province, then that was it. However, that really is talagang doomed to failure po dahil wala siyang monitoring. So this one talagang mayroon na pong from the receiving to the from the sending to the receiving. Dapat po tuloy-tuloy yung pagtulong by all agencies, and it's now supposedly is a whole of nation approach, lahat-lahat po initiated by government, but of course yun pong private sector participation and other stakeholders. Next slide. So here we have three components. We have what yung short term, medium term, and long term. Pag sinabi po natin talaga yung long term goals niya, yun pong sinabi na at the end of it, beyond the present administration and present planning period under the Philippine Development Plan, but still under our ambition 2040, yung pong ating vision for our nation, long term, yun pong balance in equitable distribution, so that all areas in our nation are attractive for all would-be residents. Pero sa short term po, like here, and in medium term, we have this based on pagka sa departments that we have, including our agency, the NHA, what we have at present, our programs and projects, and also the funding, the budget that we have. So, ang mangyari lang po, marirealign. If there are very suitable and feasible projects, then this can be realigned for the beneficiaries of the Balik Probinsya program. Okay, next, please. The NHA COVID response. Presently, here in our office, we have existing crisis committee that really looks after our own employees and also our own backyard, so to speak, Kasi po, syempre din meron din pong naapektuhan na mga ilan ng COVID, But fortunately, hindi naman po talaga nagka-epekto ng talagang mga tragic na pangyayari. And we also have, especially noong time na around March, mid-March, so nagkaroon ng work from home. Katulad po ng lahat, we were affected, but slowly, as we went through the ECQ, MECQ, and then the GCQ, so now we have work arrangements, no alternative work arrangements. But really, it's also a challenge for us since sa mga regions po namin and operations, of course, there are work that has to be done, no, as a production agency, as well as also minding the sales and the collection at our housing projects. So next slide, please. So also in June, with the entire government, no, there have been issuances of financial guidelines, and we have Memo Circular 2020-025 that are for residential lots, no, in our projects, in our housing projects, where there is a automatic moratorium for all existing residential account holders, and this was from March 16 up to June 15, no? Dito po nung nagkaroon ng Bayanihan to Heal Act 2, so likewise meron pong nire-ready din po na ganito, similar, and also yung yung delinquency and additional interest charges shall not be imposed on the suspended amortization due. So term repayment extended for 3 months. So next please. Para naman po doon sa aming mga commercial, industrial, and institutional accounts, as we have this in our housing projects as well, there is a waiver of the delinquency interest on these accounts that arise from sale, straight lease, and lease with the option to purchase on the same period of time from March 16 up to June 15 of this year. However, of course, we continue to accept payments tendered by the awardees and lessees also, and that the reversal of delinquency interest charges upon resumption of regular office operations reflected in the statement of accounts. So next slide, please. We also have, of course, our issuances of construction guidelines. So ito po pinag-usapan and also discussed among the things that were really of to us of importance, that it has to be done because we also have our targets to do, commitments, no, to really accomplish, so that among the highlights of this memo circular is that all our infra projects shall have to be compliant to the IATF resolutions, no? Kung ano po yung guidelines in preventive measures and protocols, health protocols, such that yung workforce po nung sa mga ating construction, yung ating mga infra projects dyan are persons from 21 to 59 years of age without pre-existing conditions. And merong special issuances by the managers of construction quarantine pass. And also, while we already have our health and safety officers, di ba po doon, may additional na safety officer who would really mind and really look at the compliance, no, yung in practice to the health protocols that we are having. Next slide, please. And there will be provisions of welfare facilities and quarters and amenities, plus initial private transport, no, para po makatulong din dahil we have experienced there are difficulties going from one city to another, one municipality to another, lalo na po kung iba-iba yung kanilang quarantine, no, yung community quarantine category nila. And that the contractor must provide medical checkup for the workers. before work starts. And also, yung compliance to health and safety protocols such as yung physical distancing and wearing of protective gears. And so that parang yung kung ilan po yung workers, yung laborers, then may schedule neto. How do you stagger the work also? And of course, non-compliance shall result to penalties. Next, please. Before I forget lang, may I just also inform CREBA officers that the NHA has signed a memorandum of agreement with DOLE and other departments such as DPWH, DILG, DSUD, also TESDA, and CIAP. Meron pong in-initiate na memorandum of agreement ang DOLE to revitalize the economy as the country transitions into the new normal for the construction industry. So this was signed by our GM about 2 weeks ago. So anyway, yun po, no, for information. So, okay, we go now to the next topic, accreditation of innovative technologies for iTech. This one, at the NHA, this is under our department, yung pong Housing Technology and Technical Research Department that is headed by Engineer Jovi Panopio. I think kilala din niyo po siya. So sila po, ang office nila is the secretariat because there is the interagency, no? iTech is an interagency headed by the HADC before, the DSUD already now, but the technical secretariat is the NHA, specifically sa HTTRD. Next. So the iTech, it's actually a system of accreditation, and yung mga non-traditional and alternative materials and systems. So there is that system to accredit them for low-cost housing. And the iTech has been responding to queries and requests from manufacturers of the indigenous and innovative materials and systems for technical and engineering evaluation that would lead to accreditation of this product. So yung interagency committee reviews and accredits the technologies. Next slide, please. What are the criteria? First, there is has to be compliance, no, doon sa ating current housing standards on all our existing applicable laws. And then there is the structural evaluation and validation, of course, of what the proposed structural design is based on engineering standards. And important, the cost effectiveness based on the resulting construction cost. And also included dito, syempre, kung siya is special and unique, yung special equipment and cost, of course, of transport shipment, kung saan to nagmumula, that are incorporated in the cost estimates. Next, please. The appraisal and validation also by the housing units of the funding institutions for mortgage acceptance, and the physical properties and structural soundness of the technologies, yung suitability niya, and the availability of the materials, yung kanyang for production, and consistency of required quality in mass production. Next, please. So yung accreditation process po, ganun, it is submitted, the proponent submits the application and the proposal, it is received, and once the documents for evaluation are complete, the HTTRD initially makes an evaluation of this and is forwarded to the DPWH or the structural engineer of the Philippines, and for the structural analysis or to and or to UP and DPWH and DOST as needed, no, for research, for the building research. Next. And mag-conduct din ng plant visit and site inspection. And then there will be a preparation by the technical secretariat of the report and recommendation that would be submitted to our general manager that would be endorsed to the secretary of the department, no? And the approval, if it is positive ang recommendation and found to be okay and in order. Next. So here, these materials also, ito po yung nakalagay din dun sa primer that is being provided by the secretariat, some samples of recommended technologies, and we are informed na marami na rin po dito ang ginagamit din sa kasalukuyan. Next please. We can be providing you a copy, of course. And also here, mga systems and building systems. We shall not go into them specifically each already, but you shall have a copy of this anyway. Next, please. Here. Meron din po yan, pati septic tank. No? Yung plastic purifying septic tank. Next, please. Also the list, here's a list from the Secretariat as of October of accredited technologies. And yung building systems, no, na binabanggit natin, meron po pwede for low rise, meron for 1 to 2 story. Next please. Yes po, bibigyan namin kayo, meron pong nagre-request, mabibigyan po kayo ng copy nito. Yes. And next, materials din. No? So kung pang wall panels, materials, also for walls, floor systems, meron din po yan. Next, here. So as of present, as of October, 42 technologies are accredited. And yung accreditation po, as we know it, can last from 1 to 3 years depending on the yun pong pag-evaluate nila, no? Pagka yun 1 to 3 years ang validity of the accreditation. Next. So here, one of the requests also na we shall be showing you yung tungkol sa Disciplina Village, which is a true, we say that it is a true Balay Filipino community. What is Balay? Kasi po yung sa housing natin, sa government public housing, Balay stands for building adequate, livable, affordable, and inclusive, no, Filipino community. So next please. Here is the master plan of this is in Bignay, Valenzuela. Makikita nyo po yung various sites niya and packages for its construction. Next please. By the way, ito po is under doon po sa sector namin. Kay Engineer Albert Perfecto, siya po yung regional manager, and specifically kay Engineer Juancho Corpus. So if you would wish to, or kung to see the site and have more information on how it is, then we could connect you to these our office mates, no? Next please. So its profile, it's the construction, specifically yung isang site construction of 3 low LRBs and land development in Bignay, Valenzuela. Ang total area po is 11 hectares. The land is owned by LGU. And the floor area per unit is 27 square meters. yun pong 16, yun mismong main, and then yung loft is 11 square meters, no? And next, yan. Ang building model, we have 3. There for model A, may 36 units, 30 units for model B and C, and you can see the development features as shown here, and with parking slots pa din po. And there is a monthly rental of 300. So ang ano dito, since the buildings are owned by the NHA and the land is owned by the LGU, at present 300 monthly ang rental for 25 years, but subject to, I think, for extension depending also on the agreement. But per MOA, ganyan po yung ano, no, yung kanilang naging terms at usapan. Next, please. Showing you some, here is the perspective. Next. Ito po yung actual. For block 2, ito po yung makikita nyo doon. How it is at present, already with some occupants. Next, please. Ito naman sa block 4. So may coding din po yung colors nila, no? Next. Sa block 6, ganito naman po. Presently, how it looks. Next. Floor plan model. So kung yung isang, for model A, we would see that this is the plan for the ground floor. There are 12, no, units. Next. For the second floor. Next. And for the third floor. So next. Ito po yung typical unit floor plan with the kitchen and living area and comfort with the service area. And yun po, yun dun sa broken lines yung loft na we have mentioned earlier. Next. So here is a table of its occupancy. So we can see that the generated units are some 3,702. And at present, madami na po din ang occupied. 3,067 are occupied already. So it's really a existing community at present. Next. And the beneficiaries, they come from, they are ISFs, and as we have earlier mentioned, no, yung housing programs ng National Housing Authority, they are from ISFs along waterways in danger areas, and also from infra projects such as the North-South Commuter Railway, no? Doon po sa parte ng Valenzuela. So ito po siya yung 3,067 na occupied units na by the families. Next slide, please. Here are the community facilities, and they have been constructed by the LGU Valenzuela. So barangay hall, fire station, daycare centers, schools, covered courts, multipurpose building, may transport terminal, at may market. Next. Pakita lang namin yung mga photos of these facilities. Here are the covered courts at several blocks. Next. A transport terminal. Next, barangay hall, a fire station, so it is in one building. Next, yung elementary school. Next, high school, daycare center, a multipurpose hall, wet and dry market. So ito po, no, there have been, we see that this is really a successful. It has best practice, and this is the NHA and LGU Valenzuela partnership. So it's also a principle na pagka po may consultation at saka everybody is really in agreement on how things are going to be done, there is the established Disciplina Village Council, of which kasama din po yung Homeowners Association. Are there issues? There are no issues presently. Maayos po yung takbo ng partnership. And it is the maintenance of the common areas, ang LGU po ang in charge. Pero inside, of course, the units, syempre po, yung mga, yun ang mga residents, no? Sila na po doon. And as mentioned, the LGU undertakes the estate management and assist the NHA in the collection efforts. Yun po. So, yan siya. Next slide, please. Lastly, may we just inform, I think mga 2 or more years ago, we had a market sounding that maybe some of you have been have attended sa SEDA, market sounding of our lots, because we were opening up our lots then for PPPs, partnerships with you, also through joint venture. And we just like to update that, next slide please, that at present, of all of them, we have already one project that has been officially endorsed to the ICC NEDA. And this is the formerly Manila Seedling Bank site. It is owned by the NHA and we now call it our depot area. And there has been an unsolicited proposal wherein it was favorably endorsed after review by our concerned departments, and there is at present ongoing review to ensure full compliance to the ICC NEDA requirements to assist the winning, the FLI, in compliance with the environmental impact statement. No? So at present po, ang nai-envision yan, nasa corner po yan ng EDSA, no? And mixed use. And also we would like to inform that our NHA site here, our compound, there has been an idea and proposed procurement for it. Pine-prepare po in terms of reference so that we will be inviting also the design, no, and the implementation of how this our NHA site. 5 hectares po kasi ito, and there are also possibilities of commercial areas around it, doon sa likod and such. So I hope that you would, when this comes out, some of you would be interested, as this is a good place for also, as well for business. And we have several other inventories, and some with already, some existing unsolicited proposals na pinag-aaralan pa po prior to elevating it to our board and also endorsing it to ICC NEDA. So, okay, next. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Naka-off po kayo, Miss Techi. Mute kayo.
Ms. Techi, your unmute button, please.
Unmute. Okay. I'm so sorry. Anyway, thank you once again to our General Manager, Marisa Manikis of the Management Services Group of National Housing Authority or NHA. That was a very informative presentation focusing on the real concerns of the industry. I'd like to first, before I proceed, to acknowledge the other guests that we have. Our national president of the REBA, Benedici de Castro, from our Baguio chapter, Tom Panis and Mon Tagle, from our Caraga chapter, CREBA Honcolado, Laguna, Bert Tami, Cedro Dipua, and I saw Elsie Chua, and I saw Elsie on as among the participants. So I'd like to welcome all of you to this forum. Now, the first presentation tackled the different projects of NHA, and I noticed that, my gosh, you're really so overloaded with so many projects nationwide. Mga danger areas, reaction to calamities, and all that. But I'd like to ask, when it comes to upgrading of settlements on the urban centers, how many numbers are we talking about? Ilan yung ating backlog, no? And how do we intend to address them? That's point number one, GM Marisa. Point number two is, you mentioned about proclamation on the land, no? And upgrading them and awarding the titles. What is the direction of and attitude and policies of NHA in trying to use medium-rise buildings as templates for urban centers? No? Because of land, hindi po pwede kasing one story lang kasi award pa natin ng title. So palayo sila ng palayo sa centers kasi nga wala ng lupa sa center at saka napakamahal. So if we're talking of housing, resettlement sites and upgrading of settlement sites in the urban centers, I think we have no recourse really but to consider medium-rise buildings very seriously as the template. No? And then, the other one is about on the I'm with ARTA, no, Nehemiah Housing. So we're talking of backlogs, and one thing that we notice is the participation of the private sector. Kasi sa dami ng kailangan yung habuling units to deliver, ano ang naging general reaction or acceptance of the private sector in participating in your delivery projects, no? And what incentives are available for them to really consider it, no? It's one of the topics that we're taking up in ARTA on how to reduce the red tape, no? So that you can entice and really encourage better participation. And I think yun na muna po. Mamaya naman yung iba. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma'am Techi, for those questions. I will try to answer if I can. Okay. So yung una po na tanong ninyo, yung about yung settlements upgrading, as mentioned kasi, they are actually yung affected by the presidential proclamations. Yung question na backlog, unfortunately, I'm sorry, I will not be able to say exactly, but I can get back to you to really give you the figures. I don't have it now. But what I'm saying kasi is that we've had some accomplishments here, yung pong mga presidential proclamations. Kaya lang po, through the years, ang nangyayari, example, no, there is a presidential proclamation that would say na gagawing housing area yung site na owned by a government agency or corporation. So okay, that's done. Naging proclamation po. Ang mangyayari thereafter is that of course we will be starting to discuss or meet already with the various persons, no, and the offices involved. Ang mangyayari is that may hesitancy yung may owner to really give it up, no, and there is nothing under law that says that they really have to, they can use that for housing. So syempre ano nila yun po na magre-resist sila, but they will accommodate to discuss, and then may ibang possibilities. And what happens is that it really takes a long time. So ganun po, ang sinasabi ko lang po is that maybe because these are such kinds of issuances, kulang po ng konting yung staff work talaga, na once they are issued, ayos na po lahat, and then we can get on with planning what the community would be. So marami pong ganito na situation. O ganun po. Ngayon yung using MRBs, definitely po ma'am, okay talagang this is the way to go, particularly in urban areas. And we are even thinking of the possibility of high rise, no, about it. But coupled with that, of course, are the cost considerations. And in addition also is that we will have to orient our beneficiaries on living in such areas, residential. No, iba po kasi, kaya yon yung may experiences na naman po kami ngayon yung sa mga homeowners that sa mga medium rise buildings namin, and we probably ito yung mga susundan namin na gagawin, yung how to manage it. Kaya nga ho ito successful yung sa disiplina is because talagang nagtutulungan lahat, at saka ang laki ng role nung Valenzuela LGU, no, where the site is really. So okay po yon yung MRBs talaga. And then the participation of private sectors, yun pong ARTA, yung mga incentives. Sa ngayon po nag-uusap pa din patuloy dahil may ease of doing business na tayo. Talaga hong meron din kaming issuances na doon sa aming pagpa-operations, pati sa pagpapaandar ng aming mga collections, and also yung aming sa sales, na nabawasan talaga yung mga number of days doon sa charter, sa Citizens Charter. We call our manual yung Citizens Charter, at nandito yung nababawasan yung oras at saka araw because of the ease of doing business, no, yung ARTA law. But as regards yung sa incentives, I would assume na sa ngayon po we are nakikipag-usap kami, but there are also other agencies, and in particular the Department of Housing now, no, that really discusses this with all other private and other stakeholders, and hopefully makatuloy po. May setback din po tayo because of the pandemic, pero tuloy-tuloy lang po. Yun po, I really cannot give any specific at this time. Thank you.
Just a second set talks of the technology ITech. No, you made mention that there are now 42 accredited technologies under ITech. No, I went over it, I studied it, and I noticed that they're all mostly components. No, different kinds of walls, different kinds of whatever. Pero ang palagay ko lang, no, I strongly recommend that instead of just components, for NHA ITech to look at housing technologies, not just components, but the housing itself. What are the different models for 1 story, 2 story, 3, and up to 5, which is according to the building code, you're allowed up to 5 floors. Now, importante kasi on the part of the investors and the developers for us to really be able to already choose among the available accredited housing technologies kasi it will fast track our decision-making process. So if we have different, let's say 5 or 10 housing technologies for medium-rise building, then we will just choose from among them, use a certain template, and then alam na natin na guaranteed na yan na pagbigay namin sa sa inyo for production, approved na kasi accredited yon. So I think it is a system that will fast track. And on the part of the investors and developers, it will make things so easier for us, much easier for us to participate. No? Kasi pag wala tayong template, we go through the motion of preparing a plan, building plan, costing, and everything. At the end of the day, hindi pala tama. So I would recommend that that is made available, the different templates. Also, the costing, the costing. Siyempre, ang variable natin, cost of land. Alam naman natin yon. Pero ang limitation ng ITech is just really the housing, the construction, and the cost, and the material support that can be made available. No? So that is on the second part, which is on the ITech. You're free to respond at this point, Ms. GM, and then we go to the others.
Ma'am, hindi po ako yung GM.
No, on manager for management services.
GM. Ma'am Techi, I really can agree with you doon sa inyong recommendation na talagang magbuo ng housing technology para it will be easier for you and investors. So, rest assured, I will be forwarding this to Engineer Panopio, who is in charge of, who is part of that, the Secretariat for ITech, and to raise this also to the chair. No, para kasi pagkagagawa, NHA can initiate having these technologies na buo na that investors can really just pick out rather than putting all the parts together, and raise it also to the entire ITech, yung interagency. Maganda po ito, ma'am. Sige, thank you po.
Yeah, we will monitor that. Especially ang ARTA is NHMFC is also interested in this so that ma-fast track talaga natin yung backlog, no? It's very important. Now, the other one is the problems being encountered by resettlements and the beneficiaries. Number one is the issue of substandard housing units. Ano tayo ang laki-laking problema niya, kaya din ayaw nilang lumipat, alam nila na walang kwenta yung pagkakagawa. Ano ang solutions and steps being taken by NHA to address this substandard? Ang isang nakikita ko dyan is siguro yung accreditation should really be highlighted, no? Pagka hindi accredited yung contractor, dapat hindi natin papabayaang makatanggap ng projects, no? So the first is about the substandard units being delivered, and the second issue is about the beneficiaries reselling their units. So we end up with the same number, gastos ng gobyerno, yung mga units naman ninenegosyo ng beneficiaries. So what are the steps being taken to address this concept?
Okay. First, doon sa first question nyo po about substandard, may I just say that I will be confident in saying that the NHA now is the new NHA At yun pong sinasabing na mga substandard, we have forgone all this. Makikita nyo po, we invite you all doon sa aming mga bagong proyekto. In terms ng features niya, in terms ng kanyang sizes, we have learned lessons from our past. No? They are hard and painful lessons that all of us here at NHA have learned. And we are also happy and glad that under this administration, sa GM po namin, talaga pong may mga initial at saka internal reforms po para po yung products namin are of quality. So, ang masasabi ko po, pwede niyong tignan yung aming mga yung aming mga proyekto ngayon, yung housing projects, and really you can see the difference already, no? And as you mentioned, yung accreditation, meron pong tightening, may mga pagsisecure kami doon sa aming mga project offices, as well as doon sa mga procurement din ng mga contractors namin. Ngayon, yun pong issue on pre-selling of units, yan. That's really an old problem of the NHA because yung amin pong pinanghahawakan ay yung isa lang, no? Ang unit ibibigay mo, pagka nagbigay ka sa iba niyan, hindi ka na you can never have another unit. What the current management in the NHA has done here is to give, because this part, napakahirap po sa amin na talagang babantayan araw-araw. We really do not have the enough staff and resources to really guard all those who have been awarded these houses. Meron pong bagong strategy na ginagawa. Example, doon po sa Yolanda, we have this strategy now, we have this policy as already instructed by our general manager, turned over to the local government on the disposition of the housing units, because we also have the assumption that they would know their constituents better. So meron din po kaming ganun na sharing na yung para rin ma-stop ito, nagbibigay na kami, nag-share kami ng responsibilities with other stakeholders such as the LGU. No? Meron din po kaming ganito. And then, meron din po doon sa mga pre-selling, doon sa aming mga medyo luma na mga resettlement sites, kasi yung mong nagbenta, di ba, meron ho doon, kung sino na yung nandoon, hindi na siya, hindi na yung dati. Pero yung nakatira doon, siya na ho yung nagbabayad, at saka siya na ho talaga ang makikita na nangangailangan ng bahay. Dahil bumili siya, so we have gone through several legalization processes, no? Na i-restructure namin yung kanila ring payments na kung sino na yon, sila na yon. Dahil hindi na namin maibalik, pero that is a common occurrence. So it is, we have our legalization and also the turnover to other stakeholders such as the LGU on the sharing of responsibilities for the disposition. Yun po, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. And then my last set of questions is about why is the Disciplina Village why does it only have 3 floors instead of 5, which is allowed by the building code?
Hindi ko po I can't answer, ma'am. I was not privy to the planning of this, but I will refer your question to, but I can make a guess that probably the funds would only suffice for a 3 floor. I could have that opinion.
Yes.
Yun po, ma'am.
And then the last one is about rental. Ang funding kasi is so limited, no? And if we go through rental, it will take years and years to be able to recover the funds that you have used to build this initial disciplina village. I am looking at it now, no? I'm discussing with some banks on selling process. Kasi ang pride natin, iba yung ownership eh. Yung mga beneficiaries natin, kahit ano pa ang sabihin mo, they dream of owning a unit. So, kung sasabihin natin, wow, ililipat namin kayo sa kondo, ha? Titira kayo sa kondo at kayo may-ari. So, I'm looking at the possibility of going into a affordable financing scheme, no, suited for the beneficiaries of ISF. So kailangan affordable at gradual yung increase, no, as we go through life, nag-i-improve naman ang ating income. So dapat naka-synchronize yun sa increase in income and capacity of the beneficiaries. So I would recommend, I don't know kung kayo o baka funding, no, or Social Housing Finance Corporation should look into this na recoverable kind of financing, so that pagka na-settle na natin yung mga beneficiaries sa mga units, there is a bank that would finance them, bibili na yon, makukuha natin uli yung puhunan, and then we can build new villages, no, using the same funds, iro-roll lang natin ang iro-roll. So kasi I don't believe in rental kasi ang tagal eh. The best really is still to sell them condo units that they will own eventually. So mas attractive, no? Mga condo living na tayo. Parang ganun lang po. So unless there are some other issues being raised with the participants, I haven't know. Anyway, we have a second step, which is the National Home Mortgage Finance Corporation. So first of all, I'd like to express our thanks to Manager Marisa Mangilin of National Housing Authority for the very informative presentation that you made today. Thank you very much for coming and joining us.
Yeah, ma'am, may tanong lang may tanong may question doon sa chat that yung pong doon sa PPP, yung inventory of lots ng NHA, you can also coordinate with us. We will refer you to our yung aming commercial and industrial department. Meron po doon yung inventory, no, ng mga lote namin. Dati we had a manual that we provided to yung nag-attend ng aming market sounding, but you can look over it and also talk with our managers there to discuss possible ventures that we might get into. Bibigay po namin yung number namin dito, si Miss Kit, if you can provide our number, and then we will refer you to our CIED, no? Sige po. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And we CREBA can volunteer to help you out in your marketing efforts, Miss Marisa. So let us know. We would like to help you.
Ipo-provide po namin kayo nung list din, ma'am. Sige. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Salamat po. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now we move on to our second topic, which is the National Home Mortgage Finance Corporation. We have no less than the Vice President, Ms. Rose, wala. Teka.
Rose Jose.
Jose, oh, my dear friend. Mas alam ko si Rosabel. Oo. She's with National Home, and the particular interest of CREBA on National Home Mortgage Finance is about receivables financing. So we would like to welcome Ms. Rose Jose to make us the presentation on this. Welcome, Ms. Rose.
Yeah. Thank you, CREBA, and I would like to express my gratitude together with our president, Dr. Felix Berto Bustos. He cannot attend today because he is now in a meeting with NHSB. We have the same time ng meeting, so ako po yung, as always, the representative for CREBA conventions and today this housing industry update series. Pasensya na po sa boses ko, medyo may ubo po ako. So I would like to present, I have a very short presentation. So next slide, please. So we have our program, the Housing Loan Receivables Purchase Program and the Socialized Housing Program. No, when pandemic struck, and in the mid of March, we went into lockdown. So what we did was to provide a procedure for takeouts, kasi ito po yung main product namin, no, o program namin is to finance or liquefy the housing loans of originators to their borrowers. So what we did is to provide some kind of mechanism to continue with our takeout or housing finance program. So we I think sometime in May we were already able to come up with an interim guidelines for takeout, kasi I think during that time we were already allowed to go like 50% of our personnel to go back to work, and the other 50% we work from home. So meron po kaming interim guidelines for takeout that we implemented until now. What we do is the housing developers, they send all the loan documents to our office. Meron po kaming box doon, and then we scan all the documents and then farm them out to our processors para po ma-evaluate and come out with payment. Ang payment scheme po namin is we pay through via online, and we prefer na the originators would have a bank account sa Land Bank or DBP para po mabilis po yung take out or yung transfer of funds to the originators. Nag-encounter po kami ng mga problems with other, actually it's the bank, Land Bank, who is our bank, and meron din po kaming deposit sa DBP. Sila po yung nagmamanage ng funds namin. So in the early onset ng interim guidelines namin, may mga naging problems po kami because may mga originator, syempre wala po silang account sa Land Bank. So na-solve na rin naman po yon, pero sa ngayon po we prefer for the originators to have Land Bank accounts or DBP accounts to facilitate a fast takeout para mabilis po yung transfer, minutes lang po, ma-transfer na po yung funds. So yun po ang naging response namin to the pandemic. Now we really have to still do our business, and then we also continue to market our products and programs through online, through emails. Hindi po kami, we did not stop with our business. Tuloy-tuloy po kami until now. So in the meantime po, during this period, we also realized that many borrowers have reduced income. So to make our housing loan more affordable, we introduced actually po these rate reductions was only approved, I think, 2 weeks ago. So we have rate reductions po for our economic housing, low-cost housing, and socialized housing. So lahat po yon nag-reduce. Yung sa socialized po, wait ha. So dito po sa economic and low-cost housing, from 5.56 to or to 7.91, naging 4.7 to 6.2% na lang po. Depende po sa term or years ng loan. So masyado pong mababa, and I will show you na ganun din pa rin po yung processing time namin kasi we are required sa GCG to take out ng 11 working days. So, ang program po namin caters to anyone who has income, and wala po kaming quota na pipeline quota na with unlike other banks or institutions. So we also have fixed rates to the term ng loan. Can I show the next slide, please? Para makita nyo po yung bagong interest rates po namin. This will be effective November 3, 2020. So for 7 years po, 4.7% per annum na lang po ang rate namin. Fixed term po yan. Fixed rate, fixed term. So if you can see, 4.8, 5.2, kung 20 years po, 5.5% per annum. Kung 30 years po, 6.2 per annum. So masyado na pong mababa ang rates namin sa ngayon. So this can help our borrowers na kahit during this time of crisis, they can afford to buy a house or get a housing loan finance through NHMFC because we have lower rates and fixed rates, fixed term. So next slide, please. So sa socialized housing naman po, we also reduce our rates at 3% for the first 5 years and 5.5% for the remaining years. So ganun din po, we all know that sa pag-socialize po, we follow the price ceiling po as dictated by the HADC or DSUD sa ngayon. So ganun din po, wala pong membership requirement, 100% loan to value ratio po. So next slide, please. So HLRPP4, this is a new program which was only approved last September. It is a green program. We call it the Balay Verde program, meaning the Verde means building eligible, resilient dwelling for everyone. So itong program po, dali po ito pong program is intended for those who are, excuse me po, medyo nakakaproblema po yung ko. So the Balay Verde program po promotes sustainable housing development in safe and secure communities and advocates quality of life that contributes to the economy while preserving the environment. So we have this program, Housing Loan Receivables Purchase Program 4, exclusively to finance green housing projects. So ang green po namin, we have this criteria like climate, yung for medyo mahina po yung ko po
It's okay.
maliit po yung climate change. Kung meron po silang criteria na under natural disaster resiliency, energy efficiency, green materials and resources, ito po yung mga products na pwede na accredited ng ITEC, and sustainability, water efficiency and conservation. Yun po yung mga we have a list of criteria po na parang detailed criteria for this na hindi ko na lang po nilagay dito. Pero this program is really to promote sustainability in housing development para to for housing developers to go green. Next slide, please. So ito po yung mga medyo maliit kasi po yung ano ko. Naka-phone lang po kasi ako. The interest rates for this program for the first, kung 15 years po ang term is 3%. Kung up to 25 years, 4.5%. And kung 35 years po, 6%. And then po, for beneficiaries, we also have interest subsidy for the marginalized sector. So, and up to the decile 6 as defined by PSA, meron po silang equivalent interest subsidy po for those borrowers who will purchase housing units na green. So, yung pong mga green po, yun nga po like yung earthquake resistance, accessibility, durability, flexibility, or energy efficiency. So, I'm sure may mga developers po who are into green. I think Miss Emma Imperial is one of the most noted developer na who is into green. Actually po, the selling price, the maximum loan value po ng Balay Verde program is 3 million din po. We followed the low-cost housing maximum ceiling po. So it can be from socialized to economic to depende po kasi sa category din ninyo, pero basta kami po up to 3 million we can provide, we will finance the green program or project for housing loan borrowers. So with this type of interest rates. Next slide, please. So we also have this issued department order. I just want to inform everyone that yung NHMFC has been knocking on the door of the chairman at ano naman po na approve naman po ng kasi po before HLURB and then now po the chairman has seen na talagang important po yung program namin on bond issuance. So last September po he approved the bond issuance, yung Balanced Housing Development Program as alternative compliance. So when NHMFC or SHFC issues bonds with the underlying asset as socialized, buyers or developers who will purchase these bonds can use them as alternative compliance to the Balanced Housing Development Program. So what they can only show, they can only provide the I think the official receipts or the bond itself to HLURB for the HLURB to certify and issue to them the license to sell that certified na compliant na to the balanced housing yung bond issuance ng NHMFC and SHFC. Next slide, please. So that's all. That's all about my presentation. If you have questions, hindi masyadong maiksi lang po ang ginawa ko. I thought kasi maraming speakers. So yan lang po ang ginawa kong presentation. Pero that's the gist of our program. Na we already reduced our rates. That is the most important. From socialized to economic to low cost. Mababa na po yung interest rates namin. You can compare it with other banks or with other financial institutions na mababa po ang rates namin. And they are fixed, hindi po siya, wala po kaming repricing.
Yeah.
That's
Thank you
it.
very
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah, Rose Jose of National Home Mortgage Finance Corporation. Question. Number
Yes, ma'am.
one. The way I understand it, National Home Mortgage Finance focuses on basically two things. One is receivables, no? And the other one is bonding, yung issuance of bonds.
Bank issuance. Yes.
So more or less, there are other programs, but I look at it as the major ones that you're working on at the moment. Just for the benefit of the participants who are not very familiar with this program of receivables financing. Ang ibig lang po sabihin niyan, hindi ba ang dai-dain nating mga titulo na nasa atin pa, na titulo lang sila, wala pa silang masyadong importance or value as far as our development funds are concerned. So ang ginagawa ng National Home Mortgage Finance, bibilin po nila yung inyong mortgages o yung mga titles na yan, yung mga loans na hindi pa natin nakokolekta, na nasa atin pa. Bibilin po nila yan para ma-convert natin sa available funds for use for development. So ang bottom line po ng National Home Mortgage Finance, pagka-pera tayo, makaikot yung ating mga pera instead na natutulog sa safe deposit boxes. Iikot natin through National Home Mortgage Finance para maging additional capital po sila. Yun ang purpose. Now my question is, Rose, ang receivables financing ba ng National Home Mortgage Finance, pwede bang individual, let's say ako home buyer ako, didiretso ko sa inyo? Or is it through a developer or through a bank? Ano yung pwedeng lumapit sa National Home Mortgage?
Yeah. Ever since our program is secondary, so we only finance the housing loans through an originator. We cannot go directly to the buyers. Unlike Pag-ibig, they do direct financing with their members. So kami po, it has to pass through the originator po, like banks or cooperatives or developers themselves. Kailangan po dadaan sa kanila kasi it's actually the transaction is between NHMFC and the developer. We just buy the loans na created by the developer through the purchase of the housing units ng borrower. So parang Pag-ibig din po, meron din po silang ganitong sistema. Unlike meron silang direct lending, meron din po sila through originators. Yung sa amin po, through originators lang po. And then the underlying assets, iniipon po namin yon, and then we securitize them by issuing bonds which we sell to the capital market. So yung proceeds po nun is turned around again to purchase more housing loans. Meron din po kaming actually meron din po kaming subsidy from government for the socialized housing. So medyo hindi pa po kasi popular ang national home ngayon sa housing industry because most of the developers, I would admit, are with Pag-ibig. So ang ginawa po namin, for us to continue with our phase, kasi meron kaming phase 1 which is take out. Ang phase 2 po kasi is securitization. So, yun po ang mandate ng National Home. So, for us to do the phase 2, ang ginawa po namin, we purchase housing loans originated by developers through Pag-ibig. So, binili namin yung housing loan portfolio sa Pag-ibig for us to be able to issue bonds with the Pag-ibig housing loan portfolio as the underlying asset. So yung mga tinake out ng mga developers sa Pag-ibig, some of them binili po namin. Kasi po, we need to do this po . At ano naman po, isa sa mga mandate po ng KSAs is for us to support parang yung value chain po, hindi po mag-stop. We have to support each other. So if we cannot take out housing loans from the market, from the developers, we have to look for other ways like NHA. We're also talking with NHA and Pag-ibig po. So yun po ang ginagawa namin.
Yeah. Thank you, Rose. The other one is, parang sa simple language po ang tawag dito, rediscounting window, di ba? Tayo pag kinakapos ng kapital, yung mga receivables natin, i-offer natin for rediscounting. Yun din po yung essence ng program ng National Home Mortgage. Now, Ms. Rose, question. How much do you buy the receivables? Let's say the value is 100%. Magkano ibibigay nyo sa amin for rediscounting?
Actually po, hindi naman rediscounting na ang ginagawa namin sa ngayon. We purchase the balance, hindi po contract price, minus kung may equity po siya. We require equity rin po kasi, lalo na ngayon because of yung US crisis, di ba? So we don't want that to happen to us. So we require 10 to 20% equity. And then, depende po kung ano yung balance ng borrower, may loan to value ratio po. So ang loan to value ratio po namin is 90% maximum. So yun po ang i-finance namin, yung balance ng loan to value ratio at 90%. That is for economic and low cost po. Pero for socialized, it's 100% loan to value ratio. And even doon po sa green program namin, it's also 100% loan to value ratio. Yung green program po, if developers are very much interested, it will really help the beneficiaries because mababa po rin ang rates doon.
Yeah.
And then, yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, Rose. And then now question from the participants. Does National Home Mortgage accept condominium units?
Yes, we do. And actually, we did. So yung sa 8990, more of condominiums yung tinake out namin. And then meron pa po yung subsidiary ng Mega World, SunTrust. More on condominiums din po sila. So pwede po kahit individual housing unit, pwede rin pong sa subdivision, pwedeng condominium. Wala pong ang importante lang po yung ma-assess natin yung appraised value, and then yung loan value, they match, and then yung borrower has the capacity to pay. Yun lang naman po ang namin. Mas easy po nga ang namin requirements because we don't require membership sa mga institutions. Anyone can come in as long as they can afford to amortize the loans.
Okay. I think that should also answer the question of the shelter system participants. No, it talks about being able to take out also for their units. And the next question comes from. Oh, by the way, before I forget, I'd like to acknowledge the participation of Malu Garbe, the president of CREBA Pampanga. Welcome, Malu. And the next question comes from Denny Posadas, one of our professors in the CREBA LaSalle academic program. Ms. Rose, how do you compute the amount needed when the bonds are utilized for balanced housing compliance?
Yung value ng bonds?
Yeah.
We will only know the value, actually it's the coupon rate, no? Pero pag for balanced housing, wala pa po kasi we will only know I think 2 weeks before the issuance. That is the time that we will know if there are coupon rates or none. Kasi po usually ganun po sa securitization issuance, sa mga bond issuance po namin, we only know about the coupon rates at least 2 weeks before kasi po market-based po yung So yung underwriter po namin, i-determine po kung ano yung rates at that time, and then moving forward kung ilan years ang term ng bonds, yun po, doon po lang i-determine. We cannot make it, sa halimbawa ngayon ang issuance is January, hindi pa po namin ma-determine yung rates because nagpa-fluctuate pa po yung rates. So it should be at least 2 weeks before.
The other one is regarding the bonds, no? Ang MB2 ng Pag-ibig, no, offers a guaranteed rate for 5 years of a very high interest. I think yung last yata 7% guaranteed for 5 years. How does it compare with the bonds of National Home Mortgage?
Magkaiba naman po yung although it's the same as investment on the investor side, magkaiba po yung ang rates namin with Pag-ibig kasi sa amin po is determined by market rates. Unlike Pag-ibig, I don't know how they determine the rates. So when we issue bonds, we determine the rates 2 weeks before. So yun lang po yung parang makikita po namin yung trending ng 2 weeks before going forward. Doon lang po kami nagde-determine ng rates. So usually po yung last issuance po namin, I think for a 5-year term bond, parang nasa 4 something po. 4 something per per annual po, annual rates. And actually po it was an institutional issuance. Isa lang po ang investor po namin, 2 lang po. So more on the banks po ang bumili ng namin bonds. Pero ito pong para sa balance housing po, we target housing developers kasi marami rin pong housing developers who have been nagging us for this bond issuance kasi some of them they don't go into socialized housing, so they wanted to buy our bonds. So talaga po we pursued these changes po sa requirements sa balance housing kasi at that time po medyo difficult po to comply sa requirements ng balance housing for the bonds sa part po namin because may mga requirements po na developers wouldn't accept. So binago po ni District Chair, Secretary na kaya po now it's so easy to show HLURB na compliant na po sila sa balance housing, madali na rin pong ma-issue yung license to sell.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. Roche, Ms. Roche, you have to be more competitive with your bonds. Kasi ang alam ko, ang dami-dami nag-invest by several billions sa MD2 of Pag-ibig Fund because of terms talagang grabe, no? Especially nowadays, hindi mo alam kung sa
institutions are having serious problems. Anyway, competition.
Actually, it's even if Pag-ibig has that for their members, kami naman po mostly naman po ang buyers namin are institutions sa capital market. So although there are developers who also purchase our bonds yung bahay bonds 2, marami pong developers na bumili. Yes.
Yeah.
Depende rin po kasi po sa market rates.
Yeah. And then there is a question coming from Mediatrix Homes. They're operating in Dipolog and Osamis. Ito Sumbong. We have submitted our folders with National Home Mortgage, pero wala pa daw aksyon. I would suggest that Mediatrix Home should get in touch with Ms. Rose Jose for the specifics of your concern. Kasi kailan nyo final, ano ang documents, kompleto na ba?
Yes.
So that they can...
Kompleto na or hindi. Okay.
Yeah, Rose.
I will also check with, sorry for that, but then I hope na-inform sa inyo kung kompleto na ba or hindi, but then I will check with my manager sa takeout kung ano ang problema. Thank you.
Yeah, Osamis and Dipolog. Okay, medyo madaling matrack yan.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
I think that's about all the questions coming from the participants. First, of course, I'd like to extend my thanks to my friend Rose Jose of National Home Mortgage Finance. CREBA will always be here to help you. Give us a very brief description of your program, and then we're willing to disseminate it to the developers so that more developers can benefit from your program, especially during this time of the pandemic na talagang capitalization is a very, very crucial element in production. So once again, thank you, Rose, and I hope to be able to touch base with you again for other concerns. And
Thank you. Thank you.
yes, I'd like to extend our invitation to the other participants. The upcoming Zoom meeting will be a regional meeting to be hosted by our Vice President for Chapter Affairs, Jo Yumol. She has a lineup of regional topics which will be announced accordingly. So please touch base with Jo Yumol on the provincial and regional Zoom meeting for you. And again, I'd like to express my thanks to our presenters, Ms. Marisa Maningil of National Housing Authority, and of course, dear friend Rose Jose of National Home Mortgage Program. And to the officers and the chapter officers of CREBA for participating in the Zoom meeting. And of course, our dear participants, we hope to see you again in our upcoming event. Thank you and good day to everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chapter presidents, we will coordinate
Thank
with
you, Jo.
to set up a
Hi,
meeting.
Jo.
Hi, Rose. Hi.
Hi,
uh,
Jo. Okay.
Andy.
President Toti. Hola, President Toti.
Hi,
Andiyan na ba? Hi, hello.
Wala.
Wala.
Hola.
So chapter presidents, we will call you for a meeting next week.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye,
Bye-bye.
Jo. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Salamat po.